Today, we're traveling back to the groovy era of the 1970s. While disco, bell-bottoms, and lava lamps are still fondly remembered, some things have slipped through the cracks of time. I'm talking about those forgotten lunches that filled the lunchboxes of kids and the thermoses of office workers. You'll never guess these 5 forgotten 1970s lunches. Number 1, the TV dinner phenomenon. In the 1970s, TV dinners were not just a convenience. They were a cultural phenomenon that reflected the changing dynamics of American households. These frozen meals had been around since the 1950s, but the 70s saw them evolve in significant ways, particularly as they became a popular lunchtime option for busy families and individuals. One of the key developments in the 1970s was the expansion of TV dinner offerings to include more variety and appeal to different segments of the population. For instance, the introduction of the Hungry Man line by Swanson in 1973 was a direct response to the growing demand for larger portion sizes, particularly among men who found the original TV dinners insufficiently filling. These meals were marketed as being hearty enough to satisfy even the biggest appetites, featuring items like Salisbury steak, fried chicken, and beef pot roast with all the fixings. Another interesting aspect of TV dinners during this era was the experimentation with international flavors. Companies began to introduce meals inspired by cuisines from around the world, albeit often heavily Americanized to suit the palates of the time. For example, you could find Mexican-style dinners, which included enchiladas and tamales, or Italian-inspired options like spaghetti and meatballs. This variety made TV dinners more appealing as a regular lunch option, providing a quick and easy way to enjoy different types of meals without the need for cooking. TV dinners also became more sophisticated in their packaging and cooking methods. Initially, these meals were heated in conventional ovens, which could take up to 25 minutes. However, the rise of microwave ovens in the late 1970s began to change the landscape. Although the classic aluminum trays were not microwave safe, innovations in packaging, such as the introduction of microwavable plastic trays, allowed for much quicker meal preparation times. By the end of the decade, microwavable TV dinners were becoming more common, further cementing their place in the daily routines of many Americans. Moreover, the 1970s were a time when health consciousness started to emerge, leading to some criticism of TV dinners for their high sodium and calorie content. Despite this, these meals remained a staple, especially as more women entered the workforce and the need for convenient meal options grew. The TV dinner, in many ways, symbolized the balancing act between traditional family values and the modern demands of work and leisure. Number 2, the lunchbox revolution, thermos soups. In the 1970s, the thermos became an essential item in the lunchboxes of many Americans, providing a unique way to carry hot meals on the go. The era was one of innovation and convenience, and the thermos played a crucial role in that. It was more than just a container. It was a tool that enabled people to enjoy foods that were traditionally only possible at home, like hot soups and stews, during their lunch breaks at school or work. The technology behind the thermos involved a vacuum-sealed space between 2 layers, which prevented heat transfer and kept the contents inside at a consistent temperature for several hours. This allowed popular soups like Campbell's tomato or chicken noodle to stay warm, making them a comforting and satisfying option away from home. This simple yet effective design meant that whether someone was a student with a busy school day or a worker on a construction site, they could rely on their thermos to deliver a hot, hearty meal. The presence of the thermos in a lunchbox also added an element of anticipation to lunchtime. Opening it wasn't just about eating. It was an experience, often revealing a meal that was still piping hot and flavorful, even after sitting in a locker or office for half the day. This made the lunchtime break not just a necessity, but a small, enjoyable escape. Interestingly, the thermos also allowed for more variety in lunches. Parents could send their kids to school with hot beverages like cocoa or more substantial foods like chili, expanding the possibilities far beyond the usual cold sandwiches and snacks. This variety was especially important during colder months, when a hot meal could make all the difference in comfort and satisfaction. As microwaves became more prevalent in the 1980s, the role of the thermos in daily life began to diminish. However, the memories of those hot lunches carried in colorful, often personalized thermos containers remain a nostalgic touchstone for many who grew up during that time. The thermos not only kept food warm, but also held a special place in the daily routines of millions, symbolizing both innovation and a comforting connection to home. Number 3, Bologna and cheese sandwich, the classic combo. The Bologna and cheese sandwich was a quintessential part of the American lunch experience in the 1970s, particularly for school children. Bologna, a type of finely ground pork sausage, gained immense popularity during the post-World War II era due to its affordability, long shelf life, and versatility. By the 1970s, it had become a staple in many American households, especially those looking for quick and budget-friendly lunch options. The sandwich itself was a straightforward combination. Slices of bologna, often stacked generously, were paired with a slice or two of American cheese and sandwiched between 2 slices of white bread. The bread was typically soft, adding to the overall simplicity and ease of consumption, especially for young children. The addition of condiments like mustard or mayonnaise was common, adding a bit of tang or creaminess to the otherwise mild flavors of the bologna and cheese. One of the reasons for the widespread popularity of the bologna and cheese sandwich was its convenience. Parents could easily prepare these sandwiches in the morning without much effort, and they would hold up well in a lunchbox until noon. Bologna was pre-cooked and didn't require refrigeration during the short span of a school day, making it a practical choice for busy families. During the 1970s, bologna was often marketed as a wholesome and nutritious option, suitable for growing kids. However, its high fat and sodium content were largely overlooked at the time, which contributed to its later decline in popularity as health awareness grew in the 1980s and beyond. The rise of more health-conscious food choices, coupled with the increasing availability of fresh ingredients and leaner meats, gradually pushed the bologna and cheese sandwich out of favor. Number 4, fruit cocktail cups, a sweet treat. Fruit cocktail cups were an iconic component of 1970s lunchboxes, representing a sweet and convenient treat that was widely embraced by both parents and children. These small cans or plastic cups typically contained a mixture of diced peaches, pears, grapes, and cherries, all preserved in a heavy syrup that gave them their characteristic sweet flavor. The syrup not only served as a preservative, but also intensified the sweetness, making the fruit cocktail a desirable dessert option for many children. During the 1970s, these fruit cups were considered a healthy addition to a meal, largely because they were made from fruit. The perception of healthiness stemmed from the belief that fruit in any form was a nutritious choice. However, these cups were laden with added sugars, which were less scrutinized at the time. The syrup often contained high levels of corn syrup or refined sugar, contributing significantly to the overall calorie content of the meal. The appeal of fruit cocktail cups wasn't just about the taste, it was also about convenience. For parents, these pre-packaged treats were an easy solution to include something sweet in their children's lunches without the need for preparation. The packaging was durable and portable, making it ideal for a lunchbox environment where items might get jostled around. Despite their popularity, as the 1980s approached, the nutritional awareness among the general public began to shift. The high sugar content in these syrupy cups came under scrutiny as dietary guidelines started to emphasize fresh, whole fruits over canned options packed in sugary syrups. The rise of concerns over childhood obesity and related health issues also contributed to the decline in the popularity of fruit cocktail cups. Fresh fruit, which became more readily available and affordable due to improvements in global transportation and storage, started to replace these sugary alternatives in many lunchboxes. Number 5, fondue, a trendy office lunch. Fondue, a dish with roots in Swiss culinary traditions, found an unexpected place in the American workplace during the 1970s. This cheesy delight, originally a communal meal shared at home, made its way into offices as a trendy and somewhat sophisticated lunchtime option. The 1970s were marked by a fascination with communal eating experiences, and fondue fit perfectly into this cultural moment. The idea of dipping bread, vegetables, and even meat into a pot of melted cheese or chocolate became synonymous with a fun and social dining experience. Portable fondue sets, often small enough to be brought to the office, allowed colleagues to gather around and enjoy this shared meal right at their desks. These sets usually included a small pot heated by a burner or candle, skewers, and the necessary ingredients for a classic fondue. The appeal of fondue in the workplace wasn't just about the food, it was about the experience. It turned an ordinary lunch into an event, where conversation flowed as freely as the cheese. The popularity of office fondue was also tied to the broader trend of breaking down the formal barriers between work and leisure. In a decade characterized by experimentation and a shift toward more relaxed social norms, the act of enjoying fondue at work was both a statement of sophistication and a form of casual rebellion against the conventional solitary lunch. However, as the 1980s approached, the fondue craze began to wane. The rise of fast food, microwave meals, and the general shift towards more health-conscious eating contributed to the decline of fondue as a common lunch option. Additionally, the logistics of maintaining and cleaning fondue sets in an office environment likely played a role in its fading popularity. And there you have it, 5 forgotten lunches from the 1970s. From the quick fix of TV dinners to the communal fondue pots, these lunches paint a vivid picture of a time when convenience, simplicity, and shared experiences were key. It's fascinating to see how food trends have changed over the decades, isn't it? If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a nostalgic episode. Let me know in the comments, what was your favorite lunch from the 70s? Or what do you think should make a comeback? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.